Welcome to ISRA League's Grand Touring Championship, brought to you by the Z1 SimWheel LCD display and LCD software. You can download the software, add it to your rig, get all of these dashboards and additional telemetry displays for your rig to help you race, and you can find it all at z1simwheel.com. This is Season 9, Race 2 at Mid-Ohio. I'm Daniel Quaroni, and with me here are Anthony Muniz.
Hey, great to be back for another race.
And Brian Carey.
Hello, everyone.
Alright, well, we come off the traditional first race of the season, the 2 hours of Spa, and pretty exciting race that ended up being, considering that it's 2 hours long. And so here we see James Cullen took the win in that race, with Brian Carey and Anthony Muniz falling third. Daniel Quaroni, Jerry Morsdorf, Gilles Moret, Brent Briles, Jeremy Burris, Lance Snyder, and Mike Young rounding out the top 10. And of course, since it's the first race, that's how the points run down. In Radicals, we've got Russell Cow with 25 points in the win, Colin McLean second, Lauren Bateman third, Michael Mariano fourth, Carl Mumbauer fifth, Mike Taylor sixth, Chuck Chandler seventh, Ian Boyd eighth, Daniel Verness ninth, and Joe Jr. 10th. And finally, in 4 GTs, Todd Carter took the win at Spa, with Eduardo Beninca just a little bit behind in second, Corey Davis third, Timothy Stoll fourth, Daniel Gralti fifth, Matthew Voigt sixth, Tim McLeish seventh, Clint Vigas eighth, Ronald Goringer ninth, and Gerald Livingston 10th. Take us around the map.
All right, well, we got the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course here. It's a pretty good natural road course here in Ohio, well, somewhere in Ohio, Mid-Ohio perhaps. Anyways, turn one there, pretty fast corner leading into turn 2, the keyhole, which is going to be a lot of passing opportunities into there. It's pretty heavy braking. Down the straightaway there, which is 3, which is a little kink there, into 4. Some good passing opportunities there, but it's a big trail braking corner, which leads you through China Beach, through the S's and into Thunder Valley, which is going to be extremely difficult for these LMPs and Radicals to get around the slower cars here. So watch for a lot of action there, but a lot of bunching up as well. Very different track than we saw at Spa, with a lot of flowing action there.
Alright, well, in the HPD, we've got James Cullen on pole with a 1:11 flat, basically. Anthony Muniz second, Brian Carey and Dimas Milana on the second row, Mike Young and Jeremy Burris on the third, Daniel Quaroni and John Kelly on the fourth, and Ryan Huff and Brent Briles on the fifth.
Taking pole in the Radicals was Daniel Verness with a 1:17.359, edging out Russell Cow and John Kuzla and Lauren Bateman, teammates in the second row, Mike Kelly, Colin McLean on the third row, Chuck Chambliss and Michael Mariano on the fourth, with Carl Mumbauer and Ian Boyd rounding out the top 10.
And for the 4 GTs, Eduardo Beninca took the pole just barely in front of Daniel Gralti. Corey Davis and Timothy Stoll were on the second row, with Howard McMillan and John Rosettos on the third row. Matthew Voigt and Rene Weisflog were on the fourth row. Stephen Clark and Ronald Goinger will be on the fifth row.
And a quick check tells us that this is in Lexington, Ohio. They call it the heart of Ohio. And looks like we got the 55 car. They're starting in the pits.
Yep, that's Ian Boyd.
Oh, there we go.
See, unlike Spa here, my racing starts at the start-finish line, and we are gonna start at the start-finish line before turn 1. For most real-life racing series, they actually start the start-finish flag is around turn 3 on the we'll call it the back straight, the longest straightaway here at Mid-Ohio. My racing, I don't think, has a capability just yet of changing its start line and its finish line, so we don't get that benefit here, but and you can see the LMPs are coming up to the carousel, which is, I believe, turn 10 on the track, which drops down and takes us to the start-finish straight, so we should have the green flag any moment now.
And when Brian talks about the benefit of starting on the long straight, you're going to see just a moment as we go green. Exactly why? Because the cars are running now at full speed and coming through that carousel side by side. It's hairy business.
Yeah, these LMPs can run through here side by side relatively easily, but what it's going to do is it's going to bunch the cars up going into the hairpin here. And Muniz looks like he has a run on James Cullen, trying to take the lead. It's not going to do it, unfortunately, as the cars attempt to get through the keyhole.
And it's still close racing here. We watch Mike Young and John Kelly as they head down the straightaway. There's a lot of cars bunched up right now. Most cars getting into single file, but Kelly going to be looking to gain a position there going down into turn 4.
I can see the Radicals coming down the straightaway now, heading into China Beach. Just any second now. And the 4GTs right behind
are hot on their tail. The 4GTs actually having the straight line speed on the Radicals, so they're really catching up, but the Radicals should get away here in the twisty bits where they have a big advantage.
Oh, look at that number 77 of Timothy Stoll. You notice it's got a nice black axe paint scheme, very sleek, very modern, and not at all barf-inducing. So congratulations, Turn 1 heroes, for getting that taken care of. You'll notice Timothy Stoll, Daniel Verness, Mike Kelly, Jeremy Burris, and James Cullen all in the Turn 1 Heroes team as well. Look at Dan Gralty going around the outside of Timothy Stoll there, and these guys are battling hard for the... Eduardo Benica is slightly ahead of them there, but got a pretty close battle shaping up. The qualifying times are very close between them.
And on board with Chuck Chambliss in the Radical, currently running in 6th place, trying to chase down Mike Kelly as they head through Turn 1, taking a lot of curb there. You have to be careful. You don't want to hit that too fast, otherwise you could send yourself flying into the grass there on the outside, but he made it work. Continues on as we look at some of the battles in the lower part of the HPD field. This is Brent Briles, and he is looking like PJ Losey gave him that position there and allowed Brent to get by.
PJ, I don't think he's one of our main ISRA. Actually, I think he's one of the top guys, if not the top guy in ISRA here. He doesn't get a chance to race all that often, but I think in this case he didn't have a lot of practice, so he wants to kind of settle on the back and kind of get a feel for the car before he starts going wheel to wheel with some guys here as we're following along with Mike Young. So the action at the beginning will be pretty fast and furious. We'll be probably cutting back and forth real quickly. We'll do our best to try to keep on top of everything that's going on out there.
And we take a look at Daniel Coroni right now, currently running in the 9th spot. Lost a position or 2 from his qualifying time. Easy to do here, depending on where you start. Ooh. Oh, and he catches the grass, goes sideways, and does collect the tires a little bit. You can see there's a bit of damage there on the rear of the car. Looks like the wing is fairly severely bent. Not sure if there's any suspension damage, though. The bodywork might have absorbed it, but that is a dangerous corner and unfortunate for Coroni so early in the race.
What that's going to do for our viewers at home there, the wing is now bent, so not only is he going to lose downforce in the rear end, he's probably going to have an increase in drag as well, as that wing is no longer at an optimal angle. You can see these wings are very, very well engineered and serve a very particular purpose at a very particular angle, so when they're bent up like that, you lose drag, so you slower top speed as well as less grip at the rear, so it's going to be a double-edged sword for Daniel. Hopefully he can be able to get around and continue on with the race.
And we've got close racing here between the top 2 in the class for the 4GTs. Here's another close battle here with Brent Briles and Lance Snyder. Brent Briles trying to climb his way up the LMP field. Seems to have a pretty good pace over Lance Snyder right now. Let's see if he's able to get past in the next couple of corners as we ride on board with Briles right now.
And the action's so fierce that we're cutting back to Daniel Gralty and Timothy Stoll. On board now with Gralty, currently running in 3rd position.
Yeah, like I said, there's going to be a lot of close battles here at this track, especially if you get a car that's not quite as quick out in front of someone. Where in a place like Spa, if someone was slower than you in front of you, you might be stuck for them for a little bit, but you'll be able to get by pretty quickly. Not the case here at Mid-Ohio. You're going to have to count on the driver of the same class to make a mistake, or got caught up in lapping some of the slower other classes. So we'll see what Mr. Gralty here can do with Mr. Stoll, as this is the battle for 2nd.
Jumping back over to the LMP2 class, Brent Briles still trying to find his way around Lance Snyder. It looks like his teammate is just in front of him. So going to be having a little bit of a battle between teammates here if Briles can get by Snyder.
Now this Mid-Ohio track, it's a fun track to drive, it's a challenging track to dive, but you really don't get a chance, especially in the LMPs in particular, to really stretch the legs of the car, so you really find that you're well under the top. So it looks like someone might have been off. I heard rumbling there and I saw some smoke. I don't know who that was, but like I was saying, I mean, you really don't get a chance to get see the full potential of these LMPs, as Gralty is all over the back of Stoll right now.
He's got a good look on the inside, going side by side. This is a tricky section though. That part's easy, but right here is where it gets really tricky to be side by side. They're doing it great though.
Yeah, these are two ISRA pros going at it right here. They really know how to race hard. It looks like Gralty's got the position ahead of Stoll and try to take that back.
Yeah, look, probably a lap ago, we saw Stoll going through the first couple corners, getting a bit of oversteer, struggling to get that car through the corner. So he is pretty quick, but he might be struggling with his car right now, as Bryles finds a way past Lance Snyder. Not the easiest spot in the circuit to do that. That was turn 6, and that is a pretty one-line corner. So he was did a good job to make a pass right there.
Yeah, it was a pretty bold move there. That's one of the corners there coming down into the top of China Beach, basically going down into the hill into the S's. There is a chance that if you get a good run coming over that crest there, which you just saw Daniel Verness go over, that you could get to the inside of there, and it looks like Bryles was able to pull it off.
Go back to the lead, or the battle for second place, and it's now Timothy Stoll trying to chase down Gralty. And Gralty gets a bit of oversteer going down into that same corner there, manages to save it. That is a pretty easy place to get oversteer if you're not careful, especially coming through turn 5. It's off camber, you're going cresting a hill. Very tricky. As we will jump over to a battle in the Radicals, which we haven't seen all that much of. We're on board with Daniel Verness chasing down Lauren Bateman for 3rd place.
So one of those Turn 1 Heroes drivers there, sporting a much more palatable paint scheme. Just want to point out those guys as we see them there, as they're back to Corey Davis now, chasing the 4th in a battle. Oh, look at that. Tim Stoll, crazy wide. I don't know if Davis is close enough to capitalize, but
and he is, look at that. Gets by in the straightaway. That was a huge slide that Stoll had there coming out of the final corner, and Davis was able to use the top speed that he had over Stoll to take the position.
Oh, that was actually, you know what? That issue may not. That looks like that was just Jerry's connection problems. So he's bouncing around just due to a bad internet connection.
I don't know if Mike Young there in the 21 in the orange and black up ahead actually got into the back of the Mork. Like they say, it was a connection problem. So hopefully there's no contact damage there from Mike, and he's able to continue on at speed. Hope Tim Stoll tried to get back right away, and he wasn't able to do it. That might let John Rosettos. Was caught right back up to the back of them at the cleverly designed number 8 Windows 8 car.
And not quite able to do it, but Stoll seems to be struggling with his car right now. He's getting a lot of oversteer and struggling to keep that straight through the corners. And he's fallen down to 5th place so far, and he'll hopefully be able to climb his way back up.
Lauren Bateman looks like he's letting an LMP. Nope, letting a Radical by. I don't know what was going on there, but it looks like he's slowed up for Verness, and was able to take the inside here. I can't explain that.
It's possible he was just feeling the pressure and knew it was inevitable and decided to do it without any risk of collision.
And we go on board now with Dimas Maulana. I believe that's how you say your last name, and he gets very close to the rear of Brian Carey's LMP2 car there, going through turn 1 as they got held up through by the Ford GT right there, and probably wasn't looking quite ahead as he should have been, and because of that he's going to lose top speed, and then Jeremy Burris able to get by around the outside in turn 2, and that mistake cost him a place.
I was briefly on board with Colin McLean with his golf ball helmet there. Along with Kilt, Sheep, and Haggis, another Scottish stereotype, I guess, but Colin McLean doing... actually, he's down in 8th position. I was going to say doing very well wherever he was, but 8th position is a little lower down than we're used to seeing Colin, but there's a lot of time left in the race for him to catch back up.
And here's a close battle between Mike Young and Ryan Huff. These guys are battling it out for 6th position, as you can see them making their way through a little bit of traffic, and here is the battle for 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and I guess basically 2nd as well. These guys are all lined up in a row, making their way through the opening stages of traffic. Ooh, and there's a sliding car right there going through the carousel. That was very close. Luckily, he spun towards the inside grass there and didn't make contact with anyone.
I think it was Todd Carver. I think that was Todd Carver. That could have also been...
No, that was... It was the lookalike car. No, it wasn't Todd Carver.
Howard McMillan?
Yes, that's who it was.
Okay.
And
this looks tight.
Almost 3 wide here going into turn 2 between the LMPs. Brian Carey able to get it done under braking, defends the 3rd spot. Jeremy Burris loses another spot to Maulana, who takes the spot back that he lost 1 lap ago and now tries to chase down Brian Carey.
Yep, Howard McMillan. That's him and Timothy. Whoa, that's weird.
Ooh.
That was very odd.
I wonder if that was a connection issue right there. That sometimes happens is, you notice the car kind of pitch right to the left there into the wall. You don't typically have mechanical failures, but that's kind of what it looked like there. Oh, this is a bottleneck right here. You have Timothy Stoll, John Rosettos, and the 4 GTs going side by side through Thunder Alley, through the S's in Thunder Alley, and this is what happened. We got a big train coming up of LMPs right now.
5 LMPs all trying to make their way through as fast as possible. Brian Carey at the helm right now. You can see guys going around the outside of that 4GT, hoping that he doesn't wash wide and straight into the side of their car. Everybody doing very well, making their way through traffic very quickly and being respectful of the GT cars. And the battle is very intense at the top of the LMP field.
Yeah, you know, they must have been chomping at the bit, though, as Anthony Muniz and James Cullen both were not held up by that, and were gaining time as they sat behind the 4 GTs.
Maulana trying to take a look on the inside of Brian Carey heading through turn 2. Carey taking up enough room to hold him off. Maulana's going to have a bit of a draft advantage going down into turn 4, although doesn't look like he's going to be quite as long. Yeah, I was going to say he'd have to be very brave on the brakes to even try a move there, and didn't quite have the run coming out of turn 2. But that is a passing opportunity, one of the few passing opportunities for the LMPs here at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, it is one corner, though. I mentioned kind of the top of the broadcast. Breaking into that corner, you're really kind of braking and turning all at the same time. So if you don't have the pass made, or at least part of your car alongside the car ahead of you, it's really not a place to out-brake someone. But if you get a good run off, too, you can definitely make a pass by getting a run. As they're coming around Dan Gralty here, and got Milana up ahead, Carey up ahead of them. We've got, looks like Eduardo Benica on the outside. Oh, geez, look at this. I've said it, I remember at Phillip Island a couple seasons ago. I am literally hiding under my desk right now, just peeking up to see what happens, because this is crazy insane right now. I don't know how these cars are keeping off each other right now, but this is just a lot of randomness. You don't know what speed to go through the corners. You've got cars going each way, different classes of cars, all on the same piece of track. This is excellent multi-class action right now.
Ooh, and Ryan Huff is going to lose a position to John Kelly, who sneaks his way past because of traffic, I'm assuming. And if you don't, it's tempting to do a late apex there, but if you've got a car very close behind you, they can make a dive up on the inside like Kelly was able to do right there and take away a position. And that is a position he'll have to have a tough time to fight back. But like Brian was saying, that there's cars... it's very difficult to get your way through the lapped cars for the HPDs, because you want to go as fast as possible. There's guys right up the back of your car trying to find a way past. One mistake, one little bit like that little mistake that John Kelly had right there is going to get you past. Ryan Huff has a little off trying to avoid hitting the back of Kelly's car. It looks like he's able to do it, and I think he's going to get the position back.
Yeah, it looked like he got by without too much trouble. As we now go on board with Colin McLean, who's going to follow that James Cullen, I believe, LMP through. No, I thought he was going to have it on Chuck Chambliss, but he is on the outside and just falling right behind.
Again, James Cullen's car does not look like an optical illusion. It's a very, very nice. They painted last year, I believe they were Sobe-sponsored car. They've gone with the Axe body spray right now. Not a commentary on the respective body odors at the time, but I'm sure just a monetary choice for those guys.
And I just want to point out, looks like Daniel Coroni has made a pit stop, and the mechanics replaced the rear wing. That wing looked much straighter than it was the last time we saw it, so he'll be able to put in some better lap times than he would otherwise with that bent wing. But he has fallen back down towards about 11th. Oh, and Maulana gets into the back. I believe that was Carl Mumbauer who goes spinning, and wow,
that's
that looks like
significant damage right there.
It is, yeah. That's probably that. I'm guessing that's the end of Mumbauer's race. He went wildly spinning off into the wall, and it looks like there's some severe front-end damage to Demas's LMP as well.
Looks like he probably caught the suspension a little bit too. Let's see if he pulls into the pits. The entrance is right here, so yep, off he goes.
I went off to the left.
And that's just the risk that you have here around Mid-Ohio. Especially the back section of the course is very, very tight, like Brian pointed out at the top of the program. And sometimes you have a little miscalculation and something like that happens.
Yeah, the margins are so fine at this track. Like I said, Spa was long straightaways, sweeping corners, lots of opportunity for guys to get by the slower cars, where here you're just bunched up like you wouldn't believe. And I mean, even the best drivers in the world, not to say we're not good, but we're not the best drivers in the world. I mean, even the best drivers in the world would find this a difficult proposition to get around without any contact.
And you can see that traffic has split up the battle at the front of the LMP2 field. Right now there's a bit of a gap between second and third, and then fourth and fifth, which we were riding on board right there with Ryan Huff. He was battling with Mike Young, trying to take that top 5 position away. As we look here, this is John Kuzla and Daniel Vernaz battling very closely for a second spot in class.
Looks like James Cullen's coming up behind on the pass, just timing his entry through turn 1 there to get a good run coming off the corner, because these slower cars at speed are to track all the way out to the outside of the track. If you just take a little bit off on the LMP, you'll still go through the corner faster, but you can hold a tighter line and get a pretty good run going into turn 2 here. Actually, we're going to see, looks like Dan Coroni there coming up between these guys, trying to make up some time after his early pit stop. I have to say, these Radicals look like pretty fun cars to drive. I mean, they have a little bit of grip there, a little bit of aero grip, some mechanical grip, but not as planted as those LMPs.
Yeah, these definitely seem like a fun track day car to me.
Oh, and that's Daniel Vernaz all over the back of John Kuzlin right now, and this looks like this is going to happen sooner rather than later. I don't know if Kuzlin made a mistake earlier on, but if this is a respective pace, it looks like Vernaz has the speed on him, but whoa, look at that.
That was close.
Some nice driving. Yeah, that was very close.
Jump on.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we jump on board with Ryan Huff, and you can see traffic getting in the way of Mike Young there going into the carousel. And Ryan Huff is going to be right under the rear wing of Young, trying to get by. Not going to be able to happen. You can see, I believe that is Jeremy Burris up there in 4th place, not too far in front of these guys. So all of the LMP is getting a bit spread out now over with traffic and all of that, but I expect to see that close back up, especially with still 57 minutes left in the race. They're going to be experiencing traffic every lap of the race from here on out.
I like these on boards here we got with a Radical right now. This is Daniel Vernaz coming up behind John Kuzlin. He's able to get right underneath. You can see the California logo on the back of John Kuzlin's car right there. There's a really tight section here. We're going through the S's right now, just coming out of China Beach. Coming through the... Oh, well, I guess we'll cut back to the LMPs.
And go on board with Brian Carey as he tries to chase down Munez for 2nd spot in class. And you can see they're trying to fight their way through the Radical field, and it can be a little bit difficult if you don't get a good exit down there going into Thunder Valley when you have to wait another corner to get the move done. You can see getting down past on the inside. And 2 teammates right now battling it out for the 2nd spot in the class.
There's the 3rd teammate right there, Daniel Coroni, coming back through the field right now. Looks like he's going to pass Demas in the pits, and he just does so. So that's a position for Coroni there. They both had pit stops due to damage. It looks like Coroni there has got the advantage on him. They're both a lap down to the leader right now, but still in their own race.
And it looks like the front body work was replaced on Malona's car, so he should hopefully, depending on how much suspension damage he has there, be able to put in some fairly respectable lap times. As we were riding on board with Morsdorf, who's staying very, very wide. I'm assuming he must have another LMP2 car. Yep, looks like that is his teammate. Brent Bryle is getting by through turn 2. And we'll go back to the battle for 2nd place in the Radical class.
That was one of those tough situations going through the S's right here. You got a Ford GT up ahead with an LMP behind it. Well, these 2 Radicals are faster than the Ford GT, so they're going to catch up to the back of that LMP as well. They've got their own race on their hands, but really you can't be letting 2 cars by at once. It's got to be kind of side by side at best. 3 wide is not going to make it here. Oh no, that was... I don't think there was actual contact there. It didn't look like it. It looked like he got into the back of John Kuzlin there, Daniel Vernaz, but it looked like there was still some space between them. So I think that's one of our unfortunate iRacing lag contacts there, and for John Kuzelin, that was very unfortunate because he just got spun out of second place.
And he's going to lose a lot of time, depending on if the lag contact caused any damage or not. But it could put him back quite far, because riding on board now with Jeremy Burris, trying to find a way past Brian Carey as they head through turn 2, jump back a little bit further in the pack, and you can see that the top cars in the LMP2 class, but without the overall leader of James Cullen, have closed right back up because of traffic, and now they're running pretty much nose to tail from 2nd to 7th position.
Yeah, John Kelly is only a couple seconds behind this train right now, and probably close back up any time now.
Burris looking very racy, trying to see if he can't nose his way in past Brian Carey, trying to exploit any potential mistake that Carey makes, but Carey doing a very good job to run his line, stick his car in the proper position on the circuit to defend against Burris, and he's doing a good job so far. And it's a tough position for Jeremy Burris and Mike Young. These guys are in the middle of the section, or the middle of this pack, and they're trying to fight the cars in front and also defend from the guys behind, and that's the causes those drivers to have to do double duty, and your mind is working even faster than it would normally be if you were just lapping through the rest of the slower cars by yourself.
Yeah, which is already moving pretty fast at that point, so. This is good stuff right here. This is good camera view. Really get a sense of the speed and the intensity of the racing right now, watching these guys fly through here.
We've got Mike Young looking pretty on pace with Jeremy Burris as well. Burris is trying to keep up with Brian Carey. You can see there's a bit of a gap forming between the 2nd and 3rd place cars, but Mike Young is all over the rear wing of Jeremy Burris.
A quick check of timing and scoring shows that John Kuzelin, by the way, is now in 3rd position, and just 3.5 seconds behind Daniel Verness, so it looks like he recovered from that spin pretty well.
Yeah, it's good to see for John. Hopefully there's no damage from that contact. Like I say, it looked more like phantom contact than actual contact, but I mean, that's just this race broadcast is taken from a certain view, and you might have had a different view from in-car from either one of those guys, so it's kind of to tell exactly what happened. Regardless, Verness 2nd, Kuzelin 3rd, and he's running with his teammate right now, Lauren Bateman, just about a second behind him, with Mike Kelly a further second behind him. So good battle shaping up there for 3rd position in the Radicals.
And here's a great battle for the GT class. It's Eduardo Benica currently holding on to the 1st spot, but he is under some serious pressure from Daniel Gralti. Gralti able to put a sizable gap between himself and 3rd place of about 7.5 seconds. Timothy's that place being currently held by Corey Davis, and these two guys have really set the pace for the 4 GTs right now, and Gralti all over the back bumper of Benica at the moment.
Yeah, Gralti there, he tends to qualify pretty far down the field. I'm not sure what the reason for that is, probably focusing more on race setup, but he really seems to come alive in these races. Like back at Spa, I mean, if it wasn't for a slight fuel miscalculation there, he might have won that race, even after having dropped to the very back right at the beginning. So good run for Gralti here.
Back to the battle in the LMP class. It's Jeremy Burris, and he has closed the gap between himself and Brian Carey as they head through turn 1, getting held. Anthony Munez getting held up there by that Ford GT as he heads through turn 1, and now Burris trying to find a room for his car and seeing if he can't maintain the run that he had on Brian Carey. Wasn't able to do it. We'll jump on board with Carey right now as he tries to chase down his teammate Munez, heading down towards turn 4, and he's chasing and defending at the same time. Like I said, that makes your brain have to do double duty. You can see him staying a little bit closer to the inside here going into turn 4, probably just making sure that Burris doesn't try a diving move up on the inside, and he has every right to do that. Burris is not alongside his car. You can see them heading into the twisty back section of the circuit, and again, 2nd place to 7th is still pretty much nose to tail. You can see Ryan Huff has fallen a little bit back from that this pack right here, but Burris almost losing it there, coming down into Thunder Hill, getting the wheels off, and can be risky if you're not careful. You can slide wide there, but Burris looking to have quite a bit of pace. Oh, he goes a little bit wide through the carousel. He's going to lose time. Luckily, he doesn't lose a position, and luckily he didn't drop his wheels off. If he did, he'd be sliding over into the tires.
That's actually a pretty good line through there. I mean, it's pretty dangerous to go out that close because you put a wheel off, like Anthony says, you'll be in the tires, but it actually gets you a good run onto the straightaway there. So now the LMPs are coming up to the leaders of the 4GT, so let's see how this plays out to see if Gralty could take advantage of that. Looks like he's got a good run coming off it too.
He does indeed, and he's going to have the advantage of the draft. He's going to pull out, heading down into the Turn 3 kink. He's going to be alongside, it looks like, Benica as they head into Turn 4. None of these drivers are going to want to give way to the LMPs that are coming up behind them. And Gralty's on the inside. You can see in the rearview mirror, he is able to get by Benica, and that is for the class lead. So Daniel Gralty up into first place.
We got the LMP train coming up behind them. We got Mike Young here, all over the back of Jeremy Burris, who is all over the back of Brian Carey, who's all over the back of Anthony Muniz, with who's behind them. Ryan Huff is all over the back of them. So, wow, look at you, just throw a blanket over these guys. They're basically bump drafting at Mid-Ohio. That is pretty insane.
And Benica catching the curb there, almost drifting wide there into Jeremy Burris. That was very, very good car control to maintain that inside line. And that is so hard for the GT cars to maintain where they're at on the circuit and not slide wide. You can see them trying to position themselves on Daniel Gralty so they get through into Turn 1, not lose as little speed as possible heading down towards Turn 2. Mike Young has a great run on Jeremy Burris. He's going to have to go to the outside, though, to maintain it, and he's going to have a hard time getting through going into Turn 2, but you can see how the traffic helps and hurts drivers on the circuit, and Mike Young seems to have some pretty good pace, and he's going to see if he can't use that to get by Jeremy Burris for 4th place.
I don't think my colleague Anthony here had an appreciation for exactly what was going on behind him. You could probably see a little bit of it on his screens there, but he has the best view of the house in this group right now, just having to focus on working his way through the GT traffic.
Yeah, at this point in the race, my mind was completely focused in front of me, and I had no idea all of the battling was going on like it was back here, so it's so exciting to watch. On board with Lance Snyder as he looks to put a move on Jerry Morsdorf going into Turn 4, and he's going to, doesn't look like he has it done yet, he's going to stay wide, and he's going to be wide again through Turn 5, and I can still hear the engine of Morsdorf, so I don't think he has it done. He's staying very, very tight in Turn 6.
Look at this.
They're still side by side going down past China Beach, and let's see if he can't finally get it done. I think he'll be able to have it here. It's very hard to go side by side, and yes, he finally able to take the position, but they were side by side for what, 4 corners there? Outstanding. That
was fantastic stuff for those. So hats off to Lance and Shuri for that bit of driving. That was wish we could have seen an outside view of that, not just on board to see him go side by side, but that was fantastic.
It looks like Jeremy Burris has fallen back a little bit from Brian Carey. Now he's coming under the clutches of Mike Young as they head down into Turn 4, both diving past a 4GT. Ooh, Mike Young having to go wide there to avoid running to the back of Burris's LMP car. And looks like Burris has fallen about a 1.5 seconds back, which will put him out of the draft of Brian Carey, so there's not going to be any assistance there to help him stay in front of Mike Young. So if Young really has the pace over Burris, he could lose that position to him and fall down into 5th place.
Yeah, one thing I will say, though, the draft effect here really doesn't help all that much. I mean, you're going to be, you're not really getting a bit of a draft effect until you get about 200 kilometers an hour, and you're really not getting to that speed until you're about 2/3 of the way down the straightaway. And you only get up to, I think, about 250 kilometers an hour at the end of the straightaway there as they're just going through right now. So, I mean, it's helpful, but nothing like at a place like Spa where you could hold on to the back of someone from like 1.5 seconds back.
Go on board with Lauren Bateman as he is challenging John Kuzlin for 3rd place in the class. Kuzlin recovering from a spin that he had coming out of this very corner right here, and currently holding strong in 3rd place, but he has fallen about 7 seconds back from Daniel Verness in 2nd place. You can see it looks like there's a bit of drifting going on right there as the big train of LMP2 cars gets past Daniel Quaroni for a lap, and Mike Young continuing to chase down Jeremy Burris and try and get by for that 4th spot.
I don't know what it's going to be like if the remaining 45 minutes are like the first 20, I guess. Is that how long we've been running for? I don't even know at this point.
It's
30
been
minutes.
1,000 seconds, so whatever that ends up being.
That comment just literally blew my mind.
And
What was
Mike.
that?
It's only been 1,000 seconds?
Well, the audio records and measures in seconds, so that's where I'm getting that from. But that doesn't seem right either.
No. How long was this race? 75 minutes, I think?
You know what it is? It's musical time, so it's 1,000 beats, bars rather. I don't know how long the bar ends up being.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dan has just completely switched from any sort of rational measurement.
Well, it's the audio software I'm using to record.
Yeah, so if
we were
you're a
to look at the
musician, you
clock
know
and
exactly
realize it was
how.
a 70
Yeah, if you're a musician, you know exactly how long that is.
Only if you know what time we're in.
Yeah.
It's like that part in Lost where Saeed realizes that the message is a certain length of time and it's repeated a certain long, so he automatically knows it's like 25 years just off the top of his head, like some sort of mathematical freak.
Yeah.
Anyways, the point is, this is a 75-minute race. We've got 45 minutes left. We've been running for half an hour.
That sounds like a much better way to do the math.
Just counting. It's weird. But for some reason at first that failed me, so. It's like, what's 75 minus 45? I don't know. How many beats is that in music? Well, let's try to figure that out. Oh, Mike Young, big run on Burris as he got sideways going to the keyhole there. That's turn 2. Just a few things here. Like, I think it's turns 4, 5, and 6 was what was known as China Beach is what they're approaching right now. Turn 2 is the keyhole. Turn 10 would be the carousel. Turn 9, I guess, is Thunder Alley. And then the turns 7, 8 is the S's. So this is the end of China Beach, heading into the S's.
Wouldn't turn 12 be the carousel?
Sure. My count's off a little bit here.
Oh, and someone's off there. I think that's a radical. Couldn't catch who that was, unfortunately, but that was straight into the tire wall.
Hopefully we got some marshals over there, because he looked like he went in pretty hard, so...
And we are on board with Jerry Morsdorf, and he is chasing down Lance Snyder, who had that brilliant... Both of these guys had that brilliant bit of driving through this section of the circuit, going side by side for about 4 or 5 corners.
Yeah, Lance Snyder there. It's one of our guys. Lance Snyder, Timothy Stahl. There's a few others, and I forget. Please let me know in the comments here. But they're all track marshals, and they actually probably worked this track a few times in real life. Many times, in fact. But I assume they all know CPR, and I also assume that they practice on each other during the race. So you guys can confirm or deny that. Just
Oh,
a
and
random
Benica
fact
goes
that I made
wide.
up. Whoa, that's the leader right there. Or was the leader.
Yep, and you can see that's Gralty right there as currently leading the GT class, and Benica losing only a bit of time, luckily, and manages to keep it pointed straight and back on the circuit. But that was a pretty hairy situation there for Benica.
Actually, I think Gralty was still a leader there, but
Yeah,
since we can't rewind the tape, and you guys can, I'm going to assume I'm right and carry on like I was. But yeah, no, Gralty was still leader. That being said, he's back down to, he's right behind him. Oh, what was that? That was contact for someone.
Kuzland, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think that was Kuzland as one of the cars in a Ford GT. I don't know who it was. Yep, see, look at it is. Gralty's in the lead right now, but Benica, after that off-track excursion, is he's coming back at him.
I'm surprised that he's so close already, because he was there was a fair amount of distance between himself and Gralty, and he's closed that within a couple corners. So Gralty must have had a some sort of drama going through one of the turn 1 or turn 2.
Well, there were, I think, 3 LMPs between them, so Gralty probably slowed up a little bit to let them all by, and I think he probably caught up there.
Okay, yeah, that could be it. See the overall race leader going through, or trying to go through right there, that's James Cullen in the orange Axe liveried car.
Again, not to do with any body odor problems of the Turn 1 Heroes guys. All very clean individuals.
And their cars are each sporting a different flavor of Axe body sprays. So if you're at a race that ISRA is participating in, go on, smell their cars, and see what you think. Pick your favorite.
Pick your favorite car.
Is flavor the right word to be using there? Because that's kind of
Flavor, scent, one of those.
Because I don't taste my deodorant, but you know.
What can I say? I've got a problem.
Dad just operates at a different level than the rest of us, so different tastes, I guess.
And we ride on more with Ryan Huff, currently running in 6th position in his class, and he is looking to chase down Mike Young, who is just in front of him, and all these guys looking to work their way past some GT traffic. And it looks like they're also coming up to lap a couple cars. That might be Lance Snyder. Yeah, no, that's not. That's Jeremy Burris, and they're lapping... well, that is one of the Wilpass Racing cars. I'm afraid I can't tell those two guys apart.
I think it's possible that every car in our series is in this section of track right now, so...
Could be.
This is tight.
42, there we go.
42,
That's the more stuff, yeah.
I think Brent's got more yellow in his car.
Ooh. A little bit of snap over this oversteer there for Mike Young as they head down into Thunder Valley.
Right enough, for that matter.
But yeah, both of those guys looking, getting a little squirrely coming off the corner note, and really negates any advantage one might have over the other. But these guys are quite close. Looks like Jeremy Burris able to put a bit of a gap between them of about 2 seconds so far, and he has fallen back from Brian Carey by about 3.5 seconds. So the LMP field starting to get a little bit more spread out now that we're in close to halfway through the race.
I think I need to start recording these in higher frame rates so we can read those number plates. Actually, I think I am recording them in 60, and then I'm sampling them down to 30.
Just decided I'm going to throw out a few random Daniel Crony facts here to get folks at home a little better knowledge of our co-commentator here, but most people in the United States use Fahrenheit for temperature measurement. Most of the rest of the world uses Celsius, but Daniel Crony uses Kelvin. Random fact.
Because why not? And I guess going back to the racing on track, we saw Brian Carey catching back up to his teammate. That's the battle for second place, and we're watching the number 33 of Daniel Verness. And
he's really struggling with that car, though, as he goes.
He is. He was getting, yeah, he was really working the steering wheel to get that car turned through the final couple corners there. He's currently running in the top spot in the class, and he's got 8 seconds over second place car Mike Kelly.
And we have just hit the halfway point of the race, 73. Dyslexia much. 37.5 minutes gone, 37.5 minutes to go, so expect the LMPs to start coming into the pits there. The other car classes have a little bit more variety and variation in their pit stop strategy, but LMP pit stop should be starting any moment now.
You can see traffic playing a big part here in the battle for fourth place. Mike Young is right back under the rear wing of Jeremy Burris, and there was about 2 seconds between these two cars, about a lap and a half, 2 laps ago. So that gap has closed quite quickly, and this is actually a good onboard shot with Brian Carey just to see how much time the LMPs are losing. They're really, really slow if they have to follow a Ford GT through this section.
Yeah, they're coming up to the battle for the lead here in the 4 GTs, so it's going to be a little tough for them. And they're on board with Gralty. Watch them come by if they're able to coming through here. Well, he goes into the pits, so that makes it easy for everyone.
Yep, and Daniel Gralty pits from first place, and
Ryan Huff is in the pits.
So he is probably one of the first LMP cars to pit without any sort of damage, so he decides to pit right about at the halfway mark. Daniel Gralty pitting from the lead, so Benica, you can see him on screen right now, inherits the lead, and that'll be very, very close. Ooh, that was Burris going very wide through turn 2. Mike Young has a nice run going down the straight, and he's alongside. They're going to be very close. It's going to be a battle of the late breakers going into turn 4. And it looks like Mike Young should have the position.
We'll see here, yep, and Burris not able to hold on to the outside there, so it looks like that position is his, with, although watch Burris here to see if he's able to retake. Nope, there he goes. In some cases, if you're able to keep sort of side-by-side going through there, force the other guy wide to be able to make repass, but that's a big move for Mike Young there, considering They haven't made their pit stops yet, and as pit stops are shaking out, you want to try to get your best laps possible, because the guys you're battling aren't on the track with you. You don't have to worry about getting past them on track, and you just do it by speed.
And we watch Daniel Quilroni right now. This is actually a battle for position right now. This is Jerry Morsdorf up there in the number 42 LMP2 car, and these guys are very, very close. Quilroni seems to have a decent amount of pace over Morsdorf, so let's see if he can get past.
As we're watching this battle here, I don't want to leave Anthony out of the mix here. Random Anthony Muniz, fact is, being of both German and Spanish heritage, puts umlauts on consonants, strangely enough.
That would be called Germlish or something. And Quilroni's got a nice run on Morsdorf as he gets kind of trapped in there by that Ford GT. Quilroni going on the inside there through turn 4, and that moves Quilroni up into 10th spot past Jerry Morsdorf.
That's past fellow London, Ontario native Stephen Clark there in the number 92. Not sure who's sponsoring that car because it's dropping back a little bit, but Stephen Clark running in 7th position right now in the GTs. Actually, one thing I do want to give a shout out to here, just as pit stops are coming up and action on the track is slowly subsiding, is my hometown of Sarnia, Ontario is going to, well, actually I should say, the International Space Station commander will shortly be a native of my hometown of Sarnia, Ontario, Chris Hadfield. So is a fan of space travel and that technology. I'm very excited to see that happen.
See Morsdorf and a Ford GT both off track. I suspect probably that they are related, and Morsdorf ducking into the pits after that, probably to check for any damage.
Yeah, that was can be an easy place if you're trying to go late around the outside of a GT car there, and you can see Morsdorf already out of the pit lane, so that was a very quick check, I guess, just for any damage, and he gets back on his way.
And I think someone in Dan's house either lost their keys or found their keys, or someone wants to go for a walk.
Oh, was my dog standing on the control key?
Heard a little bit of shaking going on there, so I assumed it was either keys or a dog chain.
Yeah, I was getting wrecked.
Another random fact there. Although that was just happening, so I just gotta say, kind of offside here, I'm not sure who we're on board with right now, but that is a sharp-looking helmet. Sharp-looking car, just overall good package right there. And actually, just looking at the counter here for our director, we're going to be following along with this tall drink of water here for another lap or so, so ladies and gentlemen, get used to it. Libro Financial, number 79. Kaiser Rennsport machine. Powered by Audi and Love. Mostly Audi, though. And I think my co-commentators have both fallen asleep, so I'll continue talking about myself for a second here.
I just wasn't sure. You were doing so well yourself. I
just wanted to see where he's going with all that.
And I actually was talking through that whole thing, but I was pressing the wrong key on the keyboard, so my mic was not activated.
And lessons learned. Make sure you press the right key, otherwise yeah. Brian will continue talking.
Anyway, yes, I think you got every sponsorship on that car pointed out in the last lap. Yep.
Vodafone on there. Mobile One, I believe, is another mine sponsor. As you can see, Vodafone is primarily sponsoring Anthony's car up ahead there. I've also got my teammates, my Formula 1 teammates, the Alienators there, feature prominently on the front of that LNP, doing very well in the Vasily and Marcus there, doing very well in the Drivers' World Championship.
Also have Wolfsprung des Technik there, some German on the back for Audi. As we go between back to the battle between Jeremy Burris and Mike Young. Mike Young still holding strong in front of Burris. Neither of these drivers have made their pit stops yet, but once Mike Young was able to get by, he's managed to stay in front.
Oh, it looks like Anthony and myself are both into the pits here. In case it wasn't clear before, the Turn 1 Heroes, that's Axe body spray. It's deodorant. It's not. They're not sponsored by like Lizzie Borden or anything.
And taking a look at Corwin's version of the Kaiser Run Sport LMP2 car. He is right behind Lance Snyder, and this is also a battle for position. This is for 9th place, so Corwin is slowly working his way back up the LMP2 field.
Battling with Lance Snyder there with, well, not as coolly painted technically like Anthony has done for our cars. Lance's car definitely rocks more.
It does. Oh, and it looks like Corwin able to sneak by on the inside again, going through turn 2. Let's see if he has a position. Yep, he's able to take the normal racing line through turn 5, and that moves him up to 9th spot.
As Mike Young and Jeremy Burris go flying past Dan Gralty there, who I believe has made his pit stop, so he is only 15 seconds behind the leader Corey Davis right now. But he is 5 seconds behind Eduardo Benica, so that's, I believe that's both pit stops being made, so he's going to have to make that up on his own.
Yep, somewhere he lost about 5 seconds to Benica. We remember that Gralty pitted from the lead of the class probably a good 7 or 8 minutes ago. So Benica able to put a decent-sized gap between himself and Gralty, and will inherit the lead once all the rest of the pit stops cycle through. And Jeremy Burris still looking to see if he can't pass Mike Young. Both of these drivers still have to make a pit stop, and these LMP2 cars can go roughly 50 minutes or so on a full tank of fuel. So these guys do have a bit of wiggle room depending on what sort of pit strategy they want to run. And but these guys, look for these guys to pit fairly quickly.
Actually, because we haven't mentioned it through the race there, obviously at the top of the program, I just want to mention our main sponsor, Z1Simwheel.com. Z1 Simwheel, they're updating their products a lot. They started out with the LCD display, as you saw at the beginning of the broadcast there. Oh, they're both into the pits now, so that's Mike Young and Jeremy Burris. So while we watch them pit, which the Z1 Simwheel with the LCD display or the software on a display of your choosing can really help with this sort of calculation and whatnot through the race. It's a very good product. Check out Z1Simwheel.com as they're improving their products and software all the time.
And
we've been talking a lot about the display, but they also make, amazingly, considering the name, a wheel. So you can check that out. It's a bunch of different options for how you want it to be set up, and it's very advanced, very cool. It can have the display inset in it, for example. You can do it sort of F1 style. So yeah, check that out.
And they come out same positions.
No, they don't actually. Jeremy Burris comes out in front of Mike Young. So Mike Young either taking too much fuel or Jeremy Burris not taking enough. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
I am really bad at this. I really got to pay more attention to how guys are starting the situation when they call back.
And it looks like Mike Young, he had the one light position indicator on his car, so he will collect a bonus point for leading a lap here at Mid-Ohio. Always helpful in the Drivers' Championship.
Yeah, considering James is probably going to score maximum or close to in every race, those bonus points would really help bring that gap down. So, although it is pretty early in the season, we're only at race 2 here right now, and he does have a 22-second lead, but at the same time, this is his second competitive race here in the LMP, so he's taking to it quite well.
He is, yeah, indeed. And to go back to the battle for second place, it's still the same as when we last looked at it, and it's still the same after pit stop cycled through. Kerry trying to chase down his teammate, myself, and we've been pretty much this distance apart for the majority of the race, I think.
Yeah, it's very little bit of traffic, and actually I think Anthony was probably had a tenth or two on me in clean air, so I wasn't able to really catch up. I catch up in traffic, but I'll be honest, I'm not really all that keen to take a flyer up the inside of my team owner teammate. So remember back in the day in the early 90s where Paul Stewart Racing there, Gilles de Ferran was a teammate to obviously Paul Stewart, and said that was the most difficult part about that was if he ever got caught behind his boss trying to pass him, because no disrespect to Paul Stewart, but Gilles de Ferran was a faster driver at the time there, so.
And go back on board with Kerry right now, so they head, well, quickly on board, so they head down through Thunder Valley. The battle that was between Burris and Kerry has pretty much separated now. There's a good 8 seconds or so that we're separating, and those guys were a bit closer than that when pit stop cycled through. So Burris losing time on this group right here through pit stops. Right now, Brent Briles is running in 4th place. He has yet to make his pit stop this race.
Well, coming around the outside, John Kuzlin there, who had had a couple incidents thus far. Luckily, he's able to keep running there. So, John Kuzlin, where is he sitting right now? Actually in 4th position in the Radical, so not doing too bad right now.
And despite having a few incidents, his car looks relatively undamaged as well. So, despite having some spins, hopefully able to continue driving that car quickly. Take a look at Corey Davis. He's able to sneak by Matthew Voigt on the inside coming out of turn 3. I'm not really sure if that's a battle for a true position. Pit stops might have a part to play for Matthew Voigt's current position, but Corey Davis moves his way back up into 4th place, Matthew Voigt in 5th.
Yeah, we'll see if Mike Young... Oh, Jeremy Burris really wide there. He caught the curb a little bit and it kind of pitched him to the right a bit, more than he was hoping to enter the corner there, but Mike Young was not able to take advantage of that as they head into the carousel right now, coming up behind Dan Gralty, who's currently running in 3rd position in the GTs. Battle for 5th, catching up to him.
Yep, Timothy Stoll still yet to pit for the 4 GTs. He is the current leader. Banica is still in 2nd place, and he is about 5.5 seconds off of Stoll at the moment, so obviously will be passed once Stoll decides to make his pit stop. Gralty is 8 seconds back from Benica at the moment, so that gap has widened since the last time we've taken a look at that battle, and Benica seeming to have the faster pace overall right now, with coming down to the final stages of the race. And again, you can see how much the LMPs get held up once they are behind a 4GT through this very twisty technical portion of the circuit. Brian Carey and Anthony Munez trying to find the best way to get through, and looks like they're going to go through on the inside here through, I believe that is turn number 11. Normally you see LMPs going around the outside, but whichever way works.
Yeah, and you also saw that without the advantage of the momentum coming from their cornering speed, it was actually fairly difficult to get past that 4G2.
Yeah, if you don't get a really good run coming down into Thunder Valley, I think that's turn 9, it can be quite difficult to get a run on a 4GT coming out of that corner. A lot of times you'll get a good amount of oversteer when you try and put the power down, and that can be quite a difficult section to actually get the power down to get past another slower class car. We get to ride on board more with Brian Carey. I think we've been on board with him at every section of the circuit so far. Looks like this group is coming up on a lapped car. Might be a Lance Snyder. I couldn't quite tell. He was a little bit too far away.
It's nice to be able to re-critique my line here, taking a good second look at it. Since the last time we ran this LMP2 Acura, it's been they've changed. iRacing has changed the physics on a little bit, the weight, downforce, whatnot. There's been a few changes to it. That makes it quite a difficult car to drive. Excuse me, not difficult. I mean, it's difficult, but a different car to drive than it was in the previous build. So, yeah. This being the second race, still trying to get a handle on all the ins and outs of what is a very complex car.
Yeah, it drives less like a Formula 1 car than it used to. I think before there was tons of grip. There was a lot of, you could really power your way through corners and, you know, use the aero downforce that you had. And see Tim Stoll in the pits right now, making a quick pit stop for just a bit of fuel to get him through the last 20 minutes of the race. But yeah, now the driving style is a bit different for this LMP, and then so far this season it's been a fun challenge to try and relearn the car.
Honestly, it is a pretty cool looking car, as opposed to that Riley we ran last year, which was, oh,
yes.
Oh man.
Yeah, the car as it was when it first came out, I mean, it was a ton of fun to drive, but it was also kind of ridiculous, if you recall.
No margin for error and a slip angle. You slid the tires a little bit, you'd be spinning around.
Yeah, and it's definitely a much more comfortable drive right now.
Yeah, well, they went from that crazy slip angle to reducing a ton of top speed. Then all of a sudden you had incredible grip and braking, and it was like Anthony said, it was just like the car would just stick up unbelievably.
Yeah.
Now it's a good compromise between the two. I mean, you don't nearly have the grip. You probably have around the same grip as you did that first time. Well, probably a little bit less actually, but it's much more forgiving than it was in the initial build.
Yeah, I would agree with that. There's definitely a lot less grip than, I guess, what you would call the second version of this car. But I think there, like Ryan said, it's a nice compromise between grip levels, top speed, and I guess the ease of driving that this car has. And it's easy, relatively easy enough to be able to get it around the circuit, but then it's another thing to be able to get through the circuit as fast as possible. As you can see, James Cullen seems to have figured out well enough. He's got about close to 30 seconds over this battle right here.
Yeah, the one thing I will say about that, though, is it's like, as when you think about regular drivers, like real-life cars, versus these sim racing cars, when we say it's difficult to drive or easy to drive, this LMP car is relatively easy to drive, and honestly, as it should be in real life, for someone taking it around and driving it on a track. Driving it at racing speed and getting the most of the car is not easy, and pushing it to the limit is not easy. But what happens sometimes in sim racing, when you have a difficult car to drive, it's hard to drive at any speed because basic mathematical, physical errors, we'll call them, or calculations that they've done for the simulation make the car behave in ways that are so unpredictable that you really can't overcome them with a great regularity. So it does happen from time to time in these sim racing cars and in iRacing, but I think this is a pretty good compromise, and it is really a pleasure to push around the track.
Yeah, and a lot of times you can't compensate for a car doing weird things that you wouldn't expect it to normally do because you don't really have a feeling for the car. You don't feel the G-forces. You can't literally feel when the car is slipping out from under you, and so that is what would make a car difficult to drive in a simulation when you don't actually feel those forces that the car produces.
Yeah, and like you say, you don't feel the forces, but also the forces or the inputs that you're getting are wrong and don't correlate with what should be happening. Then in your brain, it's really kind of hard to get the immersion. Where, as you can see from Dan's rig when you watch his races from over his shoulder there, he has kind of at this point maximum sim immersion. He's got the 3 screens. He's got the motion seat. He's got I believe the butt kicker. Do you still have that butt kicker? You don't?
Nope.
Okay. Well, I don't know what he's doing then. He's basically just bargain basement. Anyways, the point is, still have a lot more than we got. Point is, there's different levels there, and I mean, you got to you use everything you can. So when your options are limited for feel, and one of those feels is wrong, be it sound, be it I don't know, like feel through the force feedback, speed, anything. Just becomes more difficult. That being said, all these cars here I think are pretty decent. I think the Radical actually has some issues that makes it more difficult than the real life counterpart would actually be.
Yeah, another thing that can make a car more difficult or easier to drive is its correctability. Once you feel something going wrong, how easy is it to get it back on track? And I think that the LMP's got that pretty in good quantity.
Yeah, and also feel about when it's going to go wrong a little bit before you do. And that's one thing. When the first LMP build came out, if you started to slide the car like you might spin, where normally you do a little bit of counter steering, slow the car up a little bit, bring the car back underneath you, you can never get to that point in the yellow car, because as soon as it went in a big way. Like, it was really like grip, it felt good. tires slid past a certain angle, and just all of a sudden there was no grip, and off it went. This is actually John Kelly right now. He's chasing down Brent Biles. I'm not sure what happened to John. He's down in 8th position right now, but this is a battle for 7th. John had been battling up front. Something went wrong.
Yeah,
Maybe it's the Porsche engine.
He had, actually Porsche is going to be coming back for prototype racing, so we might see, I think it's a factory entry, so that'll be nice to see.
Yeah, and actually I saw that, so maybe the engines will blow in spectacular ways, or flip down the back straightaway at Road Atlanta. One of those things.
Hopefully they do a little bit better than that this time round. Oh, and this is actually the battle for the lead in 4 GTs, and Daniel Gralti has managed to close the gap up between himself and Eduardo Benica. That gap had opened up to over 8 seconds at one point, and it's down to under 1 second now. So that with over 14 minutes left in the race, we have a battle for the lead in GT.
Yeah, so hopefully that'll close up and we can get to see some of that action there. I was getting tired of watching Anthony and I follow each other. And there we go. The cyborg director has decided to spite me yet again.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are pretty evenly paced this race, and so that breeds, you know, racing that's close, and because the director looks for close racing, you happen to see us. But yep. Luckily, we're able to jump to other battles like this. Gralti trying to chase down Benica. Somehow, I don't know how Gralti managed to do it, but he's closed up pretty much all of the gap, that 8 seconds that Benica managed to build up. And unfortunately, I kind of quit looking at that battle to see if it happened all at once, or if Gralti just has a great racing pace right now and just did it over a number of laps. But hopefully that battle turns into a fun one to watch at the end of the race.
Speaking of battles right now, we've got Mike Kelly in 3rd, right behind Colin McLean in 2nd, who is only 2.5 seconds behind Russell Cow, the leader in the Radicals. So we're trying to get around Stephen Clark here. So this is a battle shaping up, good way, 3-way battle for the lead right now.
It looks like McLean has a bit of damage there. Oh, and he is pulling into the pit lane. I'm not sure if it's a result of that damage or if it's he's not going to have enough fuel, but McLean out of 2nd place.
Yeah, I think I went really late with his pit stop there because he was running kind of, you know, in the 5th, 6th range for a while. So
yeah, I know that he said after the race that he hadn't had much practice time around here, so it was basically arrive and do the best that he could. And he was running kind of midfield for the Radicals, and we see John Kuzlin, who is having a solid race so far. He is running in 4th, and he should get past Colin McLean in the pit lane. You can see he's going to have to race him out of the pit lane, actually. Oh, no, I guess he's not quite as close as I thought. So John Kuzlin back up into 3rd place in the class, which is a good showing for him.
But yeah, now Colin McLean has much fresher tires and the same amount of fuel, so look for that to kind of see its way out. And oh, geez. At least we get to see all 3 guys who run sport cars on the same piece of track, which is going to be scary in ways, but good in others. And
here's John Kelly. He's looking to see if he can't get himself up a couple other positions. Right now he's behind Brent Briles, and this is a battle for 7th spot. Gets a little bit held up there through... Ooh, that was a... Don't see that move all that often. You have to have the 4GT really give it to you to be able to get through right there.
Oh yeah, that's one thing I just want to mention, the Porsche there. If you guys at home want to see, sometimes you get to see cars on TV, they don't seem like they're going as fast as you think they are or whatever. Do a YouTube search for Porsche Road Atlanta and flip. Car all by itself, the forces generated in the car, you really get a good idea for what racing cars are put through, and see what happens when things go wrong.
Yeah, and the amount of forces that those cars have to withstand when cars do go wrong like that. In other words, hundreds of, or over 100 Gs impact can be, so.
Yes, I don't think that one was just quite 100 Gs, but it was definitely scary. That's what that was.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think back to Le Mans 2011 when McNish went off in the Dunlop curves, and I know that was over 100 Gs. I think it was 140 some Gs.
Yeah, it's going to determine where it's measured. It's not luckily measured at the driver's head because he has other things that'll slow it down up to then. But and then also with Anthony Davidson this year in 2012, same thing. Oh, look at that! Oh, jeez, I nearly peed myself right there. I swear.
And a little bit of late braking there for Brian Carey as he looks to lap his teammate. Almost caused a wreck between all three team drivers, which would have been quite embarrassing. Luckily, we all avoided that.
No, what had happened there was Dan had let us know he's going to let us by on the inside, so I went to the inside, and having passed a few LMPs into there, I was prepared to go deep on the brakes to make sure I made the pass stick. But Anthony on the inside wasn't going quite as hard into the corner as I was expecting, and luckily I was able to do a little wiggle there and avoid hitting anyone. Not without a few four-letter words being uttered out of my mouth when I did it in rapid succession.
We'll go on board now with John Kelly as he's still trying to get past Brent Briles, and it looks like he's pretty strong under braking compared to Briles. He closed up a pretty decent-sized gap that had built between himself as they headed into turn 4, and he's looking pretty strong right now. You can see Ryan Huff, and he is currently running in 6th position. It looks like there's some damage on the front of Mike Young's car, and that is definitely going to be affecting his overall top speed and aero performance, and Ryan Huff having to go wide there through turn 4 to go around Daniel Gralti, who is unfortunately dropped back a little bit from Benica. And let's see right on board with Huff and see how he battles his way past Mike Young. Looks like he just might have a overall top speed advantage.
Looks like Mike had let him by there. He'd tapped the brakes to indicate, normally indicating that he's going to let the driver by. So I'm not sure what's going on with Mike right now, but he's dropped back behind them.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I don't know. He seems to be able to stick right with them as they head through. Well, of course, they are behind a Ford GT, but he's able to stick on the circuit well enough.
Well, he's got damage on the right front there.
Yeah, I'm just not sure how much that is actually affecting him. Let's see if he pulls into the pits here and as they head by.
Geez, and John Kelly is all over the back of Brent Briles here.
Yeah, it looks like he has the pace. He just needs to be able to find a way to get by. And, ooh, wow, that was a big slide there going through turn 9.
And coming through the carousel here, see if you can get a good run there. But really looks like John's going to have to do some crafty moves in traffic here, as unless Brent makes a large mistake, which is not out of the realm of possibility, but pretty unlikely with Brent. He's a pretty solid driver, so he's going to have to catch a break here in traffic. That might have been it right there, but not quite.
Ooh, and he's going to take a look on the inside going into turn 2. It doesn't quite have the move, has to go a little bit wide just to avoid any contact. And see if
that would have been ambitious.
Yeah, let's see if that compromises his exit speed. And now it looks to be about the same, but there is a decent amount of traffic coming up, and so Kelly will have the opportunity to use that and try and find a way around Brent Briles, but it seems to be a lot better under braking, though, going into these heavy braking corners. Oh, wow, and that was a...
Whoa. Wow, look at that.
Wow, that is is he gonna? No, wow.
Oh,
that would have been such a great. That would have been such a great move. That is so hard to pull off there, Brent Briles. I don't know if he slid wide, and to allow that to happen. But that normally you never ever get a LMP past another prototype in that portion of the circuit.
Yeah. John is going to be kicking himself there. That was his perfect opportunity. He threw it away 2 corners later, or 1 corner later, really.
And Briles is really held up there following a 4CC and a Radical. And you can see John Kelly going around the outside to see if he's able to maintain going into turn 2. And he gets around.
This is a Radical lead battle, by the way. Mike Kelly is under his second hand. There's Russell Cow up ahead. Mike Kelly in the yellow car right there. So, I mean, that is pretty intense. And now we're back to us. This is not exciting at all. Let's go back to the... all right. Well, Mike Kelly and Russell Cow are battling under a second apart right now for the lead of Radicals. So... hopefully we get to see that again.
And that was a great move there by John Kelly to stick it on the outside going into turn 2. Got enough of a run out of turn 1 on Brent Briles as he headed through, got held up by the slower class cars there, and was able to get the move done around the outside, and I think they were probably 3 wide going through that little straightaway section. And we'll go back to the battle for the lead Radical class on board with Mike Kelly.
Now, this is the protagonist from our Daytona Prototype Championship last year, Russell Cow and Mike Kelly. So they've resumed their battle here in the Radicals, which is good to see.
And just about 5 minutes left in the race, so not a lot of time for Mike Kelly to make a move on Russell Cowell for the lead of the class.
Yeah, it's good to see. We'll get to see what the drafting is. It looks like Mike's able to draft a little bit, but you can kind of see here, although he's closing up a touch, I mean, you really got to get a better exit speed to, I mean, straightaway is long-ish, but not that long to use draft as a kind of a passing method. You're going to have to do it as better exit speeds and good braking going into the corner.
And we go on board with Brent Briles as he's trying to fight his way back around John Kelly. Kelly gets, it looks like he got a little bit out of shape going through turn 9 down into Thunder Valley. Briles not able to take advantage of that little wobble that Kelly had, but it looks like a very close battle between these two guys still, with only 4 minutes left in the race. Only going to have a few more laps left for Briles to be able to find a way back around John Kelly. Oh, and Kelly gets on the curb.
Wow.
Oh, wow, that was so close. He looks like he managed to save it without any contact or anything like that, but unfortunately, John Kelly loses 7th position to Brent Briles. Just caught too much of the curb. That was, I think I pointed out very early in the broadcast, if you hit that curb at the wrong section, something like that will happen. Oh, and Mike Kelly losing the battle, or losing the leader, Russell Cowell, spinning in turn 2, losing a lot of time, but he's not going to lose another position. John Kuzlin, currently running in 3rd place, is about 30 seconds back from this battle, but that it has decided, barring a mistake from Russell Cowell, that has decided the winner of the Radicals.
Yeah, we should also say great heads-up driving from Brent Briles to go around the outside there of John Kelly and avoid hitting him.
Yeah, I was going to say, I was just looking on board there. I thought Brent had done a bad thing by missing the apex by quite a bit, but having done that allowed him to get around the outside of the wiggling car there, because that was a... once Kelly collected it back up, the closing speed was pretty good.
Yeah, I don't think he intended to stick wide of the apex there going through turn 1, but it ended up working out really well for him. He moves himself back up into 7th place. John Kelly has fallen about 5 seconds back from Briles, so if there's a mistake from Brent, you could see that battle resume, but with only 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, it's not likely.
Alright, we should be following along with this battle again for another 3-4 hours, I guess, according to our director. Oh, and speaking of the director there, is our guys are coming here past Mike Kelly a couple days from now. Hopefully this video gets posted to YouTube before that, but I think Dan's computers are slated to take over the world on Friday, so if you guys get that before that, if you had weekend plans, yeah, about that, I didn't want to tip our hand too early, but this broadcast, I figured we'd give you guys a day before you know that,
yeah.
That's what the Mayans had always predicted.
That.
I, for one, welcome our new computer overlords.
And we've still got over a minute of it left in the race, and that should equate to roughly 2 more laps. James Cullen is currently 38 seconds in front of this battle right here. So depending on when he crosses the timing line, that will be the end of the race. Another fairly close battle in the 4GTs. Gralty is still trying to chase down Eduardo Benica for the class lead there, about 1.3 seconds separating those two drivers. Gralty managed to close the gap that had opened up to over 8 seconds, but unfortunately not able to get around or really even battle for the lead. As you can see, the white flag is out, so there's going to be about another lap and a half for, well, Brian Carey, who we're on board with right now, and most of these other drivers right here now that are still on the circuit. We can actually see the I guess what is essentially the lead battle for the 4GTs just in front of these two guys. You can see Daniel Gralty right up there.
All right, well, Cullen has taken the white flag, so as everyone comes across the line now in the LMPs, these guys in particular, they'll be taking the white flag as well. Gralty here still has a shot at this, so we'll see if he could take advantage of, he was able to let the LMPs through there in an area that didn't lose him very much time. Eduardo Benica might not be as lucky.
Oh, and see Lance Snyder getting past Daniel Quilroni, who is very, very slow, and if I am remembering from our post-race comms, I think he has unfortunately run out of fuel with just less than a lap to go.
You are right, sir.
You can see...
Speaking of which... Oh no, that's the end of the race right there.
It is, yep. That was James Cullen crossing the start-finish line, and that was also Mike Young crossing the start-finish line right there as well. He is not scored right now because the other cars that have finished in front of him haven't crossed yet. There's a few more finishing cars right there. Daniel Gralty is still trying to see if he can't catch back up to Benica, but there's close to 2 seconds separating them, so I don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately.
Alright, so, yep, just looking at the screens here, I don't think there's any positions really in doubt. There's Muniz taking second place on the podium 2 races in a row. Myself and Anthony swapping positions from Spa last week.
And Benica taking the win in the 4GT, and there we have the 63 Reversal Cow taking the win in Radicals. And wow, we're jumping right off the points since the board filled up so much because we were waiting for that one person to finish, and it looks like I have not got the right points.
No, you took the drop week in there.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be including the drop week because that only happens after it's got, I think, 3 or 4 races. So I'll tell you what, viewers, I will be redoing this section and you'll be seeing the correct points, but unfortunately I can't read them out to you.
Yeah, for those of you who are watching this and are illiterate, I apologize, but I just have to wait till next week, I guess. I apologize if anyone is actually illiterate. That may have been insensitive, but anyways. I'm guessing it must have been the drop week, because otherwise Eduardo winning taught last week.
It just hasn't updated because there's only 2 weeks for that. It's basically dropping the first race, or whatever race, depending on.
Yeah. I'm going with drop week. Anyways, point is, you guys will be seeing the correct standings at this point of the season, so I don't know why we're still talking about it. So, you know, that was an intense race, I gotta say. I mean, the first half, especially there, when the cars are coming through. Oh, here we got the schedule coming up here. Next week we'll be in Road America. Well, next race, I should say. That was the last week. Infineon we just ran yesterday, but we should be doing that within the next week or 2, recording that. Sebring, which is a fun track and multi-class. Suzuka, a 2-hour race there. That should be interesting. Zolder, which will be pretty manic. Watkins Glen, Phillip Island, and then rounding out the season, as we traditionally do. Not with a 2-hour race, but still at Road Atlanta. Yeah,
this was definitely an intense one, and hopefully it's just another sign of things to come for the season. So I think we will jump on out and jump on to next week, which we will hopefully also record, and we'll see you again real soon. So, as always, thank you to ISRA League and the admins and racers who race here and make this all possible. Thanks also to Z1 Simwheel, our most excellent sponsor. And finally, to my co-commentators, Anthony Muniz and Brian Carey. We'll see you again next time.